Good afternoon. I'll begin. I can remember flying back from the combine at the airport, getting a call from Pat as I was walking through the concourse, and he said, the Mason deal is done. And at that time of the year, when you are trying to put your football team together to be able to acquire someone like Derrick. And Derrick was a player that we had competed against because he was with Tennessee and we used to be in the same division. And I know the other team that was involved in trying to woo Derrick was the New England Patriots. So you talk about a team that had an established quarterback, multiple Super Bowls, and we were trying to get him to come to Baltimore to be a part of what we were trying to get done. And so driving from the airport to home, I was a very happy man knowing that Derrick Mason was coming to play for the Baltimore Ravens. In his career, and you got all the numbers, but when I look at Derrick's career, he's drafted out of Michigan State, and the way that he could get on the field was to be a punt returner and a kick returner. And not only was he a returner, he ended up becoming a Pro Bowl returner at Tennessee as a returner. And then he worked himself into the starting lineup and became a very prolific receiver with Steve McNair throwing the ball to him. Over the 16 years, 17 years that we've been here, we've signed a lot of free agents, a lot of them. But I don't know if it's any one player over the span of their career that did more for this organization than Derrick Mason did. And it could be argued that when you list them all, but what Derrick did in the years that he was here, he'd be at the top or near the top. And in my mind, probably at the top because of the number of years that he played here as a guy that wasn't drafted here. Coach?
Well, just one thing on behalf of the coaches, Derrick, and also the fans, the Ravens fans, I think it'd be appropriate to say thanks for retiring a Raven. It means a lot to all of us that you would choose to retire as a Raven, and I know that's how the fans feel. You've had a great career in two places, but what you meant to this team, since 2008, I guess are the years that I can talk to the most, and just your competitiveness, your competitive spirit, your toughness mentally and physically, your work ethic, those things could never be challenged. I mean, the numbers, as you all have seen, the numbers here are pretty incredible. The numbers as far as the receiving numbers, the catches, the yards, all these things are incredible. We talked about this in the hallway. The things that jump out for me was never missed a game in his Ravens career, ever, okay? I don't remember you ever missing a practice that I can recall. 2002 to 2011 played in 149 straight games. As a special teams guy, post 5,000 return yards and 10,000 receiving yards. The only player in NFL history ever, in the history of the game, to do that. This play right here, where Derrick, the physical nature of your play, when the two Detroit players, went like that, they both fell off, remember that?
Absolutely.
And you ran another 40 yards for a touchdown. I mean, that's one that just jumps out in my mind. And then the other one would have been the Dallas game, down in Dallas when we closed that stadium up, and just the heroic effort when you had the cracked scapula. And not just that, but played the rest of the season and practiced the rest of the season with a cracked scapula. I mean, that's the Derrick Mason that we all know and love. And then I see, three guys just jump out at me here. Cam Cameron, Jim Hostler, the relationship you had with your coaches, I think from a professional work ethic, and then Joe Flacco, the chemistry that you two guys had here for those years and the numbers you guys put up and the games you guys won together. As a coach, as a head coach, that makes me kind of proud. So congratulations, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, it's better now than never, I figure. Listen, you gotta, I had some things written out, um, but it's bittersweet for me. Honestly, it is. Um, you know, the season didn't go, the year didn't go the way I wanted it to, but it went the way it should have went. I believe that. I truly believe that. I believe God had something else for me. I think there was a lesson I needed to learn last year. Regardless of what went on, I think there was a lesson I needed to learn. And I learned it. And I was able to mentally prepare myself to retire last year. My heart was still here. It really was. But I still had to go out and try to perform a job, knowing that, the most vital part of my being, the most vital part, the piece of my body that I played with the most was still here in Baltimore. And it was hard for me to go through last season, but I knew it was a test, and I knew I had to do it. And I wouldn't have changed it. I wouldn't have changed it no other way, because like I said, it allowed me to mentally put myself in this position to be satisfied, content, all right, with making the decision I'm making today. First off, I want to thank my family who supported me for 15 years. It was a hard 15 years. Those first 4 years were not the best. Well, 3.5 were not the best, because we never knew what the situation was going to be. But they stood in there. They hung in there with me. Marcy, DJ, and Bailey, they stuck in there and they hung in there with me. And for that, I'm truly grateful. Whenever you can have a family that stands in there with you, no matter what the situation is, then that's a good thing. So I would like to thank them. I would like to thank the organization, for allowing me to have an opportunity to hang up my cleats here. It's an amazing place. My journey was amazing. I would like to thank Ozzie, Coach Harbaugh, Mr. Cass, Mr. Bashotti for, allowing me to come back here and retire. There's not many places you can go and play some good football, go to another team, and they let you come back and retire. That speaks volumes, not just for yourself, I think, but for the organization, because you meant a lot to them. I will be forever grateful of that. This is the suit that I wore when I signed. So two things either happened. Either it was big when I wore it, or I hadn't gained any weight. I tend to think the latter. I hadn't gained any weight. I stayed pretty much in shape. It's a good thing. Also, I'd like to thank Bill Tessendorf and the training staff, because, I didn't miss 6 games. I mean, I didn't go 6 years without missing a game for no reason. Those guys really helped me out a lot. Times where, maybe I couldn't do it, they made sure in the morning that I had what I needed and was able to go out there and practice. And I had what I needed to go out there and play. Bill was the type of guy that if you asked him on a Wednesday that you needed something, he had it to you on a Thursday, or he was going to sure enough have it to you in your locker by Sunday. And you don't get that every place. And that I truly, truly appreciate, because those guys took care of you. You became more or less, their children in a sense. I know Bill's not that old, but, you became children to him in a sense, because they had to take care of you. And they did a damn good job, excuse my French, but they did a damn good job at it. Ed Carroll, Will Sheridan, and in the equipment room, those guys, whenever I needed something, it was a go get it, Mace, you can have it. Those guys made sure I had my shoes, my gloves, everything that I needed, so I'll be well prepared on game day. Community relations, they did a great job. Kevin Burns, excellent job. I mean, I would always have something good to say about Kevin, always. Even though, him and I kind of butted heads here and there when it comes to basketball. But, his wife, himself, they opened their arms to us when we got here, and we will always be grateful for that. The staff inside the dining room, Manning, I mean, you can't say too much about him either, enough about him either. You know, when you needed your eggs, he had them. So he always kept you nourished, and you know, he kept me well fed my last year here, going home. So that I do appreciate. You know, Darren, everybody else, and security guys, you know, like they were family too. I considered them brothers because I can call them at a drop of a dime, and they was right on it. Regardless of, I didn't have to call them too many times late at night, fortunately. But you know, if I needed them during the day, they was always there to take a call. So I really do appreciate that. You know, the fans of Baltimore, you know, I really do appreciate you. I've always said this. You took a guy and his family that you know, rooted against for 8 years. And I can remember playing at Old Memorial Stadium, and you rooted against us coming in that building. And, you know, 8 years after that, coming here and you embracing me, that felt good. That truly felt good. There's not too many places you can go and a place really embraces you the way that the city of Baltimore embraced me. And I will be forever indebted to this city. You know, it wasn't, you know, the decision wasn't hard to retire. And the decision where to retire was just as easy. Because like I said, my heart was here. It never left. My body left, but my heart stayed right in these rooms. You know, y'all got some of the finest coaches here. Coach Cam, Coach Haas, you know, I think two of the brightest offensive minds. I've learned a lot from Cam, and I've learned a lot from Haas. You know, I can remember, and like Coach said, it wasn't just a working relationship. It was more than that. I can remember being in my locker and you know, sitting in my locker, and Haas knew something was wrong with me. And, you know, him coming there and putting his arms around me and saying, is everything okay? And I'm sitting there and I'm crying because there were things going on. And, you know, he sat there and, you know, kind of said a few words, and, you know, we talked about it a little bit later. But that right there showed me that it was more than just football. It was about, you know, are you okay today? Will you be okay tomorrow? It wasn't just all X's and O's all day. It was, okay, how are you? How are your family doing? You know, you seem a little down today. What's going on? So they really cared about you. And, you know, that I appreciate. You don't get that too many places. And I've been to 3 other places. And that is not common in other places. So, with that said, I enjoyed my journey. It was fun. I'm sorry that I didn't get an opportunity while I was playing to bring a Super Bowl to this city, another one. But I think y'all are in good hands with Joe, who to me is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He proved that last year. So I think y'all are in good hands, as well as Torrey, who now can become that go-to guy. He did a great job last year, and now he get to build on what he did last year. And Anquan, he's always going to be your consummate pro. And then you got some other guys that are on that offense that'll make sure this team is good moving forward. I guess I can't leave without, you know, thanking, I guess, you know, 2 or 3 other people that I played with. First, you know, Ray Lewis, just because of, you know, his competitiveness. You know, when you play a game and you watch another man play a game and play it with the passion that he plays with, you gotta admire it. Because there was not once that he stepped on that field and he didn't give it his all. So that I will respect about him. J.O., to me, the best left tackle in the game. It was great playing with him. And I think, you know, 2 other people, obviously, I think the greatest player that I've seen play the game, Ed Reed. Him and I became close friends. But to me, just watching him work and talking with him, it was amazing. It's amazing how he thinks when it comes to football. And, it was great playing alongside those three guys, my time here. And then, I can't leave without, um, thanking, Steve, because, him and I more or less grew up together in the game of football my first 8 years in 1 year. And because of him, my numbers are what they are. Because he looked for me, he trusted me, he counted on me. And I hope I never failed him. So he will always be, number one with me. So thank you, media. I appreciate it. I always smiled. I hope I never was, rude to you guys. And if I was, I didn't mean it. But I always tried to give you a smile, and I always tried to give you the interview that you wanted, and I always tried to be available for you, because I know how hard the job is. So, but I thank you for being professionals at what you do. So, again, my run is over. It was a good one, and I'm happy. Thank you.
Derrick, you touched on some of the guys you played with here in Baltimore, some of the very best to ever played their positions. And matter of fact, J.O. retired 4 years ago tomorrow at this very spot that you're sitting now. What made you decide to align yourself with this organization when you had terrific teammates and more years for the Tennessee?
Because my heart was here. Tennessee's a good place. It's a great place. And like I said, they gave me an opportunity to start my career. And that I will always thank, the brass there. But my heart was here. You can't, do something somewhere else when your heart is in another place. My heart was here, so it was an easy choice for me.
Derrick, we watched you go through a lot of pain over the years. You alluded to that. What was it in you that allowed you to kind of tough it out and be able to play through games like the Dallas or several other times that New England you landed on your back or something like that, or at Auburn?
Maybe I was just hard-headed. No, but no, that's the way I grew up, man. That's the way I grew up. I grew up, you couldn't quit. You just couldn't. No matter what the situation is, you couldn't quit. I can remember playing, in a parking lot with some grass with my brothers, and I hit my head on the concrete, had a big knot on my head. I'm walking home crying. My brother grabs me by my neck and said, "You're not quitting." So I had to play, and that's where it comes from. I was born and raised that way.
Derrick, Ozzie talked about the Ravens competing with the Patriots when they originally signed you. How close were you at any point to signing with the Patriots? Was it real close at some point?
It was close. I went there. I met with everyone, and it was close. But it was just, it was something about this place. Having played this team for so many years, I knew what this team was about. It might sound kind of crazy, but being an offensive player, when you play against a defense that's so tough, you want to be a part of that defense because you don't want to play them no more, So that was, honestly, that was one of the main reasons, was that I got tired of playing this defense, and I knew coming here that the defense was already set. They had a tradition of playing great defense, and, I was coming to a place that I can try to help jumpstart an offense. And I was right. This defense hasn't wavered from what they were when I signed here 6 years ago.
Now, you never seem to have any problem going against them in practice.
No,
You were right at them in practice every day.
I had to. But they took it light on me in practice, because they needed me on Sunday. So.
Last summer was a very emotional and difficult thing. Then you guys stayed in touch. Just that you guys talked. you take us through that, and how did you kind of go from that point where you're upset and that's where you are right now, sitting here today, and kind of, where everything's fine?
It's a business, and you know, you can respect a GM in Ozzie, because this is why I believe, and this is why I have so much respect for not just John, but two other people, Jeff and Ozzie, because when I got released 6, 7 years ago, Jeff brought me into the office, and we talked. And as a player, that's all you want. Why, when, how, what are you thinking? Even before it happened, this is what's gonna happen. I hate it, but okay, fine. As a player, that's all you want. It was the same with Ozzie. Hey, Mace, this is what's gonna happen, but I need you to come down here. I wanna talk to you. He could have easily just said, hey, we're gonna release you, and we'll see what happens down the road. But he didn't. He said, come on down here and let's talk. And we talked about it, and we had a good talk. And that you respect more than anything. So why not? Regardless of what happened, why it happened, who cares? He had enough respect for me to bring me in his office and him talk. And I had enough respect, and John had enough respect for me to bring me in his office, and him and I talked. So, being released is gonna happen eventually. Everybody's gonna get released unless you just retire before that happens. But if you understand that it's a business, you might be upset for a minute. But if you understand it's a business, it'll be okay. And if they did it in a manner that this organization did it, then you're fine with it. You can move on.
John, you touched on it already, but could you talk a little bit, expand a little bit on how important it was for Joe to have a go-to guy like Derrick that first year?
Well, I think, Joe was new to this thing. It was the NFL. It was his first shot. Circumstances and his talent and what he accomplished by earning that starting job, it was, and he was on a contending team. We felt like we were a contending team, and I would think, and it'd probably be a great question for Joe. He's sitting right back here when we get out of here. But, Derrick was a guy you could count on. I think Derrick was a guy that was going to be where he was supposed to be. He was going to run a great route. We've said it before. Never been a better route. I've never seen a better route runner. Cam has said it. Never seen a better route runner in football. And for a young quarterback to be able to trust that it was going to be the right depth, he's going to come out of his break quickly. He was going to be where Joe expected him to be, and he was going to catch the ball. I would think that's pretty good for a young quarterback to understand that. And probably that sounds pretty simple, but it's easier said than done when you're competing against the quality of corners and stuff we go against in this league. So, obviously the way that the chemistry they developed right out of the gates, right, Joe? I mean, right out of the gates, it just seemed like those two guys had a chemistry, which is pretty amazing.
Derrick, what does it mean to you? You only played 6 years here, but to be the team career leader in catches, receiving yards, most catches of the season, what does it mean to you to be on top of all those lists?
It means, the people that were throwing it to me had enough confidence that I would go and catch the ball. And the people that were calling the plays trusted me enough that I would be where I needed to be and that I would catch the ball. That's what it means. Nothing more, nothing less. If they don't trust you, you don't catch balls. But if they trust you, not only the quarterback, but the offensive coordinator trusts you, then you'll be okay. You'll catch a lot of footballs. You'll be able to make a lot of things happen on the field. And, that circle of people trusted me. They trusted me to go out there and do a job and do it to the best of my ability.
How would you like to be remembered, your legacy as a football player, person? How do you want to be thought of? How do you think you will be thought of?
How do I think I'll be thought of? I don't know. It's yet to be seen. It's just, you hear things here and there. He was a good receiver. He was a great receiver. He was an average receiver. You kind of hear all three of them. But I just want to be remembered by a guy that went out there and did what he was supposed to do on the football field. A guy that took up for his players, regardless of what the situation was. Coach and I butted heads a few times because I was taking up for those flares, but I caught the tail end of it, but but it was fun. It was fun because when that happened, when we walked off the field, it was like it never happened, or 5 minutes later, it was like it never happened. But I just want to be remembered as a guy that went out there and did his job the way he knew how, and that was hard and fast.
Do you have a favorite memory? Do you have a favorite memory?
Playing football or just here, period? Here, period. I think my holiday helpers. That was probably my favorite thing. Taking, 100, 150, somewhere around there, kids, with the help of my teammates and staff, taking them shopping and making their Christmas a lot better than what they thought it would be. That I will remember. We did it for 3 or 4 years straight, and I always looked forward to it. And I always enjoyed watching those children, grab presents, not just for themselves, but for their sisters and mothers, brothers, aunts, uncles, fathers, whatever it may be. A lot of them wasn't even getting gifts for themselves. That meant a lot because not only was it the funding from the foundation, but more importantly, it was the time that the players and staff put in, and it was the time that I put in, and that I think they enjoyed more than anything. So that I will remember. I think that will come to mind each and every time.
What are you gonna do now, Derrick?
What am I doing now? What am I gonna do now? What am I doing now? Oh man. Well, I when the kids were in school, I was shuttling them back and forth to school, and spending a lot of time with my son and daughter. Now that they're out of school, I do a little coaching, helping the high school that they go to the lower school. I help out the high school a little bit, and do some things here on radio here and there. But right now I'm just resting. I'm just enjoying myself right now, enjoying my time at home, and trying to spend as much time as I can with Derrick and Bailey. I know they enjoy me being back at home, and I enjoy it as well. So, but eventually I will, start to work in a little while. I want to work because if I don't do anything else, it gets boring, But I will start working, and then coupled with doing things with the kids, it keeps me very busy. So, I'm gonna rest for the next couple of months, but then I get back to work.
Derrick, a lot of your contemporaries have different kinds of retirement. Some guys do it well, some guys they'll have their trouble. Who do them kind of plan for? Because you knew at one time where this moment would come. And how well prepared do you feel for retirement?
I feel very prepared. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I feel very confident that I've done enough. And let me rephrase that: I didn't do enough. My family did enough to make sure that I can, stop playing and be okay. Not just financially, but mentally and physically. So I'm not a big numbers guy, but I had enough good people around me to make sure that I was doing what I needed to do in order to be able to, walk away and be okay, and not have to look for the next big thing. I'm content where I'm at. I'm fine. Make just enough. So that's good with me.
Derrick, you've always been a very confident guy, emotionally violent. Are you? I don't know if you want to take this far ahead, but what do you think your chances are of joining Ozzie in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. I really don't. He revitalized the tight end position. I don't think I revitalized the wide receiver position by any means, and by any means stretch of the imagination. I went out and I did my job. I hope the numbers, speak for themselves. Was I flashy? No. But I was hard working. I went out and did what I was supposed to do. So if you're just looking at the numbers, then I don't know, there might be an argument. But, you know, if not, then, hey, everybody can't get in. You know, everybody can't, and you can't, you know, hang your hat on that, whether you get in or not. I'm not gonna do that. If one day they do indeed call, or my name comes up, and by the grace of God I'm in, I would cry.